Hi, my name is Brady Jones, and I am a manager at a pizza restaurant here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And this story is from a couple years back, but it was going into our slower season, and a bunch of college students that had over the summer that were going back to school. They were leaving, so we had to hire some new people. So we were interviewing people. I wasn't doing the actual interviewing; one of my coworkers was, but in the process, we hired this person, and he seemed like a totally normal person, or else we probably wouldn't have hired him, of course. But he seemed nice. I didn't really work with him much because he really didn't. He only worked there for about a month. But from what my coworkers said about him, he seemed like a normal person. The only red flag about him was that when one of my coworkers cut his finger working in one of our slicing machines, he seemed very intrigued with that. That was really the only red flag that we noticed about him, but it didn't really raise any attention about it. The restaurant I work at is it's deep in Colorado Springs. It's in kind of I wouldn't say like a sketchy area, but kind of a sketchy area. Like we deal with homeless people a lot, like those kind of things. But the restaurant itself is it's a pretty old restaurant. It used to be a butcher shop, but then I got turned into a pizza place, I think in 74. I could be wrong, but somewhere around there. It was a long time ago it was turned into a pizza place. But it makes do as a pizza place. It's very small. The front is kind of small. There was an extension added to the back. The back room's pretty large. And then the kitchen is also very tiny. It's probably way too small for a pizza place. But we make do with it, of course. But yeah, the pizza place, it's a family owned restaurant, all those kinds of things. It has a nice environment. It's more so like a family friendly place. A day I worked with the murderer, kind of more in depth. I'm a manager, so I really only make pizzas. And when we start a new person working there, they're usually either just doing dishes or they will start interacting with customers. And I was the one that trained him on dishes and just kind of like going through all the duties of the dish pit, of course, making every sink and how to like basically make sure our dishes are clean enough for customers. But explaining that to him, he seemed pretty normal. Um, he, he was still socially awkward, of course, but I feel like that's just a given. Definitely more socially awkward than the normal person, but I thought that might have just been the way he is. He's just not great at talking with people, especially new people that he's not really comfortable around. But overall, he wasn't bad. He did his job, but I never really got to truly work with him because I was mainly making pizzas. But from what my coworkers said, he seemed like a kind of, yeah, like I said, socially awkward, I'd say. I even like with the way he moved and even like just talking with customers, he seemed kind of not really there, I'd say. But other than that, he did his job, everything we really asked him to. Then he just kind of quit unexpectedly, and we found out about it recently this summer. I think one of my coworkers was looking up, I think, murders in our hometown, and one popped up with a hatchet murder, and it was his person's name, and they had a picture of him as well, and it matched his description, of course. Now that I do know that information, that I worked with a murderer, I definitely approach things differently, especially with hiring new people. We now do background checks, make sure there's nothing too crazy. And then even walking out in public, like at the store, I'm always weary of the fact that I definitely probably walked in front of a murderer at many points in my life, along with everyone else. But it hasn't really affected me too much. He was an odd person overall, just kind of socially awkward. That was really about it. And yeah, he looked totally normal to us. Didn't have any distinctive features about him that made him stand out from a normal person, really. And then the events leading up to finding out about him being a murderer was just us searching around on the internet, and we found the exact match of the person that did the axe murders in our hometown. And the first day working with him, it was really like any other person. They're all new and pretty socially awkward at the beginning because they don't really know what's going on. But he seemed promising, of course. We always try to make people work out because the hiring process is very long. So we want to try and keep people as long as we can. And after finding out, all of our coworkers were pretty surprised. I was surprised too, just because it was like, at the moment we didn't even know. Like, he seemed like a normal person, and once we found out, we were all very surprised for sure.